So today we'll be looking at this light here. This is the Nanlite Pavotube 6C, the latest light by Nanlite. I'm Richard and welcome to ZP Productions. So today we'll be looking at this light here. It will be a box opening plus an initial preview. Now before I start, I will thank Nanlite and SLR Revolution for providing me this copy to test out. Now, this is the third tube light from Nanlite itself. As you can see here, this is the 15C and behind me, left and right, are the 30Cs. So I've been using these Pavotubes for quite some time. Let's take a look at its box opening and what's the difference between this light versus, the bigger brothers. So let's take a look at what's inside the box. First, we open it up. And then I believe there's an instruction manual inside. It's stuck inside the box, so let's ignore it. There is a strap. There is a metal plate. And then there is a USB-C cable. As you can see, this is what's inside the box itself. Now, the Pavotube itself is actually inside this felt bag. It looks like felt, or I don't know. I'm not really sure what material is it, but it's a very soft cloth. So the 6C itself, as you can see, is approximately 1/3 the length of the bigger brother here. And based on measurement, this is about 22 cm of lighted area. And versus its bigger brother here, this is about 60 cm of lighted area. Now, just a note that 30C behind is 1 meter of lighted area. So this 6C is about 1/5 the length of the bigger tubes behind. So the tube itself, if you ask me in terms of build quality, I can say that it's definitely a step down from the bigger brothers. The bigger brothers just have a very solid build that, the 6C is solid. I would say it's not that it's weak or anything. It is still a very solid build, but definitely not the same quality as its bigger 15C brothers. Now, the most biggest important difference is that this tube can easily, stand on many surfaces because it has a half octagonal shape and half round shape, so you can actually rotate the light in various angles. So this is something that is really convenient, definitely on the 6C. Now, the other thing is that with the metal plates, this tube is magnetic at its both ends, so you can actually hold it up, and then you can actually hold the whole tube up with just a small little piece of metal plate. Now, this tube is magnetic on both ends, so you can attach it, for example, to a mic stand. There'll be some sound. And then you can attach it like this. So this is definitely really useful when you're doing product photography, product videos, something that you can easily put over your product and light a small area. So without further ado, let us move on to its lighting, its functions, and of course, the tube design. Is it a good thing or not? So this section is about its lighting capability. So for that small little period of time, what I did was I did a measurement, I did some tests with it, and I have some conclusions. So let's first look at how do I on this light and know how does it perform. So to on the light, you have to press a button behind. Just press the power button and hold. You'll see the Nanlite light up, and then there's some animations and followed by the light lighting up itself. Now, the light has a small little LCD. So the LCD is actually quite nice. It tells you various things. Firstly, it tells you what mode is it. Is it CCT? Is it color mode? Is it effects mode? Next thing, it tells you how much battery left. But I noticed that the battery meter is not very accurate. It's been jumping around 0.3, 0.6, 1 hour. I'm not too sure. I probably have to try it the next time round. And then for the white light, there is 3 settings you can do. Firstly, there is the dim. And then next is the color temperature, followed by the green and magenta shift. So to do the settings, just press switch to whatever parameter you want, such as the color temperature, and then press the up and down button itself. Now, I would like to say straight away that it's not as convenient as its big brother, the 15C. The 15C is, of course, a much more expensive light, but it has a lot more buttons. It has 2 dials to straight away change all the settings you want. So the 6C is definitely a slower setting light, but there is a Wi-Fi function, and I don't have a way to test it now. So with the Wi-Fi function, I think it'll be a lot more convenient. But just a note, it's quite a bit of steps to do certain settings compared to its bigger brother, the 15C. Now, other than that, if you look at the light itself, this light, I'm in white mode now. This is 2700 and you can go all the way to 7500. I think that is definitely a great thing. There is not many lights that can go such a big range in terms of its white. Previously, I thought that the 15Cs were great because it goes from 2700 to 6500, but this guy goes 1000 more Kelvin, so it goes even more blue than normal. The light itself, when it comes to color accuracy for its white mode, This light is rated for 95 CRI. So in terms of measurement of this light, I did some basic measurement just now. So I have a C700 here, and you can see in this video, at its both end, it is 95 CRI. In the center, it's about 91 CRI, 92 CRI, depending on the setting itself. So by no means that this light itself is not great. In fact, the color is fantastic at its both ends. It's just not really 95 CRI throughout the entire tube. Now, its big brother here, the 15C, is perfect. It is 95 CRI no matter what setting you have. And I tried it before, I measured it before. It is really great. While this guy, just a note, the center is not as great as its big brothers. Okay, so that being said, this light is 1/3 the cost, so there is nothing much to complain. The next thing that you want to look at is probably the color function. So by pressing mode, you can actually shift the color to its color function. So in the bigger brother, you get HSI, which is hue, set, intensity. For this version, they call it dim, hue, and set. So it has 256 for its hue and set, and then the dim goes from 0 to 100. So it's perfectly fine. It works out perfectly well too. So you just have to remember the numbers and then put the setting, and you can get the color you want. In fact, let me show you some of the colors by pressing the switch, going to hue, and then shifting it around. So unlike the bigger brother, as I said, the knobs are a lot easier. This one requires quite a bit of pressing to go from 255. As you can see, it is already a slow thing. 255 all the way to 0. I think that's a few seconds. So yeah, it takes a bit of time to go from one end to the other. Okay, so that is so much for its color capability. Let us move on to its next one, which is the next mode, which is all the effects. And there are a lot of effects. You can look here, there is plenty of effects for this light itself. From paparazzi to hue loop to storm, there is many functions you can use it. And really, if you just want to have a nice color display light like this, you can do hue loop and it looks perfectly great. Quite a nice background display. Okay, and one thing to note, if you notice there's a USB-C port, this USB-C port I believe can be used for firmware upgrade. It can also be used for charging. In fact, let me show you the charging capability here. As the light is on, you can actually plug in the USB-C and power up the light. So you can actually see it's charging while the light is on. So that's a nice touch. So this is where the difference with the big brother is also. The big brother uses a standard power connectors and you have to run it through a D-tab. So the 6C is definitely a lot more convenient. You can power it through almost any power bank that gives a 5V 2A. Anything that can power your phone can power the Pavotube. So definitely something that you can carry around easily to travel. And that's about it for today's preview, at least when it comes to its functions. So overall, my final thoughts. So my final thoughts is really that this tube is a nice little device that you can use it for tabletop photo, tabletop video. It is really convenient. You can easily put it on any surface, such as even a mic stand. You can power it over USB-C, so it's very convenient. You can bring it anywhere. And there's one last thing I want to touch on before we end this video itself. So one thing is that these Pavotubes are actually tube form, so they are long tubes. So the thing is that, is tube better or a rectangle better? Now this is a bit of a light profile, I would say a shadow profile things. So the thing of tube light is that you can actually shape the shadow a lot better than a rectangle light. So if you see in industry, a lot of people like to use strip box for photos, and also they use strip lights to light certain surfaces. So same thing for a tube. A tube allows you to rotate it and you can drastically change the profile of the light. And I think this change of profile of light is a very good versatility for something this small and light. So you can actually light an object, and if you want the object to have a lot of shadow to the side, very dramatic fall off to the left and right, use it vertically. Now if you want to light the object evenly throughout in the frame, then use it horizontally. So there is options, and I think a tube format is slightly better than the rectangle format, at least for this size. And the other thing that I want to say about the Pavotube before we end off is that the LED itself is really even throughout the light itself. In fact, I can't see a single LED dot within this light. Unlike the 15C and 30Cs, I can actually see like a 2 or 3 mm gap between the LEDs itself. While this one, I totally can't see the LED dots. So you can also see from the shadow, it is a perfectly smooth shadow regardless of how you rotate the light. So I think this is a really nice advantage this light gives. And that's about it for today's preview. I think this is a really nice, nifty light that can be used for many purposes. I hope you enjoyed this short preview. I will actually do a full review in the future once I get in more products. I'll use this as a product light attached to one of my mic stands, and then probably see how this performs, especially in mixed light condition. I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.